Well, hey guys, so for the Friday Q&A, I'm going to answer your questions and comment on the latest DevaCurl lawsuit. This is something you all asked my opinion on in my recent How I Grew My Hair Long video. So I thought I would chit chat with you guys kind of about some of the claims that are being made against DevaCurl and why I think these things may have happened. DevaCurl, if you're not familiar, is a line of hair care products that is marketed towards individuals with curly hair. And the DevaCurl methodology, if you will, is based on the principle of no poo, meaning no shampoo. This is an idea or technique or thought behind hair care that many men and women in the curly hair community advocate for, on the idea that not using traditional shampoo on your hair can help your curls stay healthier, your hair shaft overall be healthier. What exactly is the no poo method? Well, there are a variety of different approaches that are used in the no poo method. The DevaCurl products all revolve around what is known as co-washing or conditioner only washing, in which instead of using a shampoo, you instead use a conditioner that is thought to be gentler on the hair shaft somehow. I'm really going to have a hard time saying no poo over and over again in this video without cracking up. Proponents of the no poo method claim that by abstaining from shampoo, you can keep your hair shafts healthier and maintain your curls better. The natural oils from your scalp and hair will help keep your hair healthy, and if you use a traditional shampoo, those surfactants, those harsh sulfates are just going to destroy your hair. Alright, so is co-washing bad? Is the DevaCurl methodology of co-washing bad? Well, no, there's no direct evidence that using a conditioner-only approach is harmful to you, but there are a few issues around conditioner-only cleansing. What you have to understand is that the molecular formulation of conditioner is much different from shampoo, in that shampoos can actually remove oil, dirt, and sebum and built-up product buildup, whereas conditioners, the way they're formulated, they actually cannot do this. So one of the main issues with conditioner-only cleansing is that the product that you're putting on your hair and rinsing out is not going to remove buildup, is not going to remove oil and dirt from your scalp. And that can cause a lot of issues, which I'll touch on later on. So the DevaCurl products, they all use something called an amphoteric surfactant, which is cocamidol propylbutane is the name of that ingredient. And cocamidol propylbutane is something that you'll find in a lot of shampoos and conditioners. It's a lathering agent and a conditioning agent, but it doesn't remove oil and sebum. In addition to that surfactant, the DevaCurl products and many other conditioners and co-washing products also have hydrolyzed protein. In the case of DevaCurl, that's going to be, I believe, quinoa protein, that deposit on the hair shafts and temporarily fill in any porosities and gaps in the hair shaft on your strands, but if not eventually washed off with a true shampoo, that buildup will actually weigh down the hair shafts and contribute to hair breakage. So those are some of the issues surrounding using a conditioner only or a co-washing type product like the DevaCurl products. In terms of the health of your hair shaft, that buildup is not adequately going to be removed and therefore eventually will lead to increased hair breakage and hair fragility. But importantly, when it comes to the health of your scalp, conditioner-only cleansing is not adequate for removing oil and sebum and buildup from your scalp. And cleansing the scalp is really important because there's a little yeast that naturally lives on everyone's skin called Malassezia or Pityrosporum. He has a few different names. And that little yeast becomes incredibly comfortable and overgrows when there are a lot of oils left on the surface of the skin, whether that be the surface of the skin of the scalp, your face, or your body. And when that yeast becomes too comfortable, it generates a lot of inflammation in the skin that can cause dandruff, and it can also cause something on the face called seborrheic dermatitis, these little flaky, greasy red patches. Not only that, but that level of inflammation due to Malassezia yeast can also contribute to hair loss. In fact, many types of hair loss, we have now started to recommend that individuals use a shampoo or product aimed at reducing the burden of malassezia, even if the person doesn't necessarily have dandruff, because we find that by lowering the burden of that yeast, it lowers the inflammation in the scalp and actually can help in the improvement of hair growth and hair restoration. In addition to malassezia yeast getting too comfortable, causing dandruff, driving inflammation into the skin and contributing further to hair loss, another issue that you have that is not rectified if you only use a conditioning or a co-wash type product is the fact that you eventually start having buildup of hair care products on the surface of your scalp, whether it be the conditioning product itself that you're using or other things that you're using like mousses, dry shampoos, etc. And these products have ingredients in them that can actually be irritating to the skin and can also cause something called allergic contact dermatitis, meaning that when these ingredients are left on your skin, your immune system can say, hey, this is not cool, and develop an allergy to those ingredients. And a classic ingredient in hair care products as well as skincare products, which if you're new here is like, no, duh, of course she's gonna say it, fragrance. And so the DevaCurl products all have fragrance in them. So, you know, you're not adequately removing the buildup and you're leaving a residue of fragrance behind on the hair shafts and the scalp that can transfer to the skin of your face and also cause problems. And not only that, preservatives and hair care products can also cause irritation and be sensitizing. You know, a lot of ingredients in shampoos and conditioners are unnecessarily demonized because of their association with irritation. And it's important to understand that in typical shampoo products, the product is not actually left on your skin for a prolonged period of time. It's intended to be rinsed out and a copious amount of water is used. But if you're not using a surfactant to remove some of that stuff, it's inevitably going to stay on the surface of your skin, increasing the likelihood of issues to these ingredients. But the ingredients themselves, things like parabens, propylene glycol, the ingredients themselves are not necessarily bad in your hair care products, because how do we determine if something is an irritant? We do something called patch testing, which is the same type of test that we do to determine if something is an allergen on your skin. But the patch test, the way it's done is the ingredient is put on your skin and covered up with a glorified Band-Aid, and then that bandage is removed anywhere from 24 to 48 hours later, and the reaction that is on the skin is either no reaction or an irritant reaction or an allergic type reaction. That's how that is interpreted, and that's kind of where things get labeled as irritants in that setting. That's the testing that is done to determine that. But that's not going to recapitulate real life use with a shampoo or conditioning product that you actually are just rinsing out of your hair and scalp, unless you aren't adequately cleansing and removing that buildup. With time, those irritants and allergens can accumulate on the skin of the scalp and hair and ultimately lead to problems not only on your scalp but also on the skin of your face as well. So when it comes to the DevaCurl lawsuit and the allegations against DevaCurl, there's nothing in the ingredient list per se that I would attribute to being directly harmful or irritating. The issue behind the DevaCurl line, and I think what has caused problems for people, is that co-washing without using a true dedicated shampoo at least once a week to remove buildup is not an acceptable way to cleanse the scalp or the hair shafts, for the reasons that I mentioned. And if you go online and you read, you know, the lawsuit claims, the claims that people are making, or you read the negative reviews on Sephora, what are people complaining about? Increased dandruff. Obviously, they're not cleansing their scalp properly. They're not using an adequate method to remove that sebum oil. So who's getting comfortable up there? Malassezia. That's a common complaint that I've seen on some of the reviews and whatnot. And another common complaint is increased hair shedding and hair loss. Now that could be due to, like I said, increased inflammation and irritation on the scalp from inadequate cleansing, or it could be due to things that have nothing to do with shampooing and conditioning your hair. Increased hair shedding can be due to so many different things that it's hard to really say it's a shampoo and conditioner for sure without knowing that individual consumer's total history. Like, Were they pregnant, sometime in the past year? Did they have an illness sometime in the past year? Do they have an underlying medical condition that they may not even be aware of, like a low thyroid or something like that? Or are they suffering from a condition called alopecia areata, which has nothing to do with shampoo and conditioner? It's a common autoimmune hair loss in which you suddenly lose a big chunk of your hair and have a bald spot. I mean, who knows? This is one of the issues with relying on consumer reviews. You're only getting a very, very small little piece of information. There's a lot of information that you're missing because you're only getting a very small piece of information, which is essentially an anecdote. Rather than the total picture. And I use that for anything that I buy. I never pay attention to consumer reviews. Yeah, and then another thing that they complained about in a lot of the reviews was increased irritation. Now, obviously with not shampooing your hair and adequately cleansing the scalp, which hopefully I've illustrated to you is important in a pitfall to conditioner only cleansing and why it's not acceptable, is that you will get a buildup that can be incredibly irritating, coupled with malassezia getting too comfortable up there. I mean, yeah, that's a recipe for irritation. So at the end of the day, I don't think that the claims against the DevaCurl, I don't doubt those consumers' experience whatsoever. This is a major pitfall. These are major pitfalls of conditioner only cleansing. However, if these individuals went out and bought any other conditioner in the grocery store or whatnot and exclusively used that, I would guess that there's a very good chance that some of these same problems would develop. It is my thinking, as someone who knows a lot about hair diseases and scalp diseases, that these issues that consumers are reporting with DevaCurl are not unique to DevaCurl. They are a pitfall of the conditioner-only cleansing methodology. So in other words, I don't think it's that the products themselves are irritating or bad or necessarily poorly formulated or formulated under bad, inappropriate conditions. I could be wrong, but that's just my guess. I imagine the lawsuit will require them to do some testing and compliance and whatnot. But if I were a betting person, I would say towards the end of the lawsuit, they'll probably find that there's nothing wrong with the actual formulations. It's the way consumers are told to use them. It is not acceptable to only do conditioner-only cleansing. So I think that's really what has led to many of the issues that consumers are reporting. I don't dismiss or doubt at all that these things are happening. I think they're very true, but if somebody came to me and asked me as a dermatologist, would I recommend the co-washing or the no poo method, I would say no for these reasons. Now, in anticipation of some of the whatabouts in the comments, you may be asking, what about some of these other ways of the no poo method? Let's start with baking soda. That is another one that I have seen a fair amount of people talking about and promoting. Baking soda is a substance that has acid neutralizing properties. It's found in your kitchen and in a variety of other things. It's actually antimicrobial and will kill viruses. But beware, it is incredibly alkaline, meaning the pH is high. It's actually a pH of 9. So baking soda is incredibly caustic and can cause a lot of problems, not only for the skin of your scalp and face, but for your hair shaft. So what will happen if you use baking soda, or what can definitely happen, is that alkaline pH opens up the outer cuticle. If you think of the cuticle of the hair as kind of like shingles on a roof, and all of a sudden those just kind of popped up and lifted up off of your roof, you'd have a lot of space exposed under there for leaves and debris to get in. In the case of your hair shaft, when that outer cuticle lifts up like that, what happens is that water goes into your hair, and that can result in swelling of the hair shaft, frizz, increased fragility, and breakage. And breakage can often be interpreted by consumers or users of a product as hair loss, but it's not true hair loss in terms of a scalp disease. It's hair loss related to increased breakage and fragility. So that is something that is definitely a risk with using caustic baking soda. So that's the issue with baking soda and why I don't recommend baking soda for your hair care or for your skin care, honestly, because of the alkaline pH. Your skin barrier needs to be acidic to help in protecting you from the outside world. So using caustic things on the skin or the hair is just not a good idea. So what about an acid? What about everyone's favorite acid in skincare and hair care that I'm always getting asked about? And that's good old apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar has a pH of around 3.1 to 5. It itself is antimicrobial and is also antifungal. So in theory, it would be great for your scalp. And because it is an acid, because it has acetic acid in it, that will disrupt to some degree the oil interface at your scalp and along your hair. And so it can actually cleanse a little bit by essentially creating salad dressing, if you will, off the surface of your hair, mixing with your own oils and that apple cider vinegar. But it can disrupt that oil interface and help in removing some product buildup. However, because it is so acidic, we always caution against using apple cider vinegar in dermatology for patients because it definitely can cause a lot of problems for your skin. It can be very irritating. We see cases actually of chemical burns related to kind of some of the DIY skin and hair care with apple cider vinegar. It is acidic. It can get around your eyelids and in your eyes and your mucous membranes, cause rashes on your skin, the skin around your neck, and around your hairline basically. So it's not recommended, but very dilute apple cider vinegar, I suppose, is a logical way to remove some of that buildup, but it still is not really getting to the root, if you will, of the needs of scalp cleansing. All right, and then last but not least, another method outside of the conditioner only, apple cider vinegar, and baking wash methodologies is the use of tea tree oil. Now, tea tree oil is an essential oil derived from a shrub, I believe, Melaleuca. Tea tree oil is popular. It's an antiseptic, it has antimicrobial properties, and it has antifungal properties. So, it's kind of a logical thing to be interested in putting on your scalp to control that little pesky yeast. Unfortunately, tea tree oil is very sensitizing, meaning it is something that people can and do develop allergic contact dermatitis to, and using products with tea tree oil or tea tree oil itself can actually make it so that you are more likely to develop an allergy to other things that you are using along with the tea tree oil, either at the same time or at a different time. It's co-sensitizing, and the reasons for this are a few. One is not it's not a pure substance. Tea tree oil itself is like 100 different compounds. So who the heck knows what it is that causes issues for people, and it may vary from person to person, and it definitely varies from batch to batch of tea tree oil, where the tea tree oil was, made, etc. There's a lot of variability in that constitution of tea tree oil. The other reason, though, is that tea tree oil is very susceptible to oxidative degradation, and those degraded compounds within tea tree oil are like 10 times more sensitizing and irritating. And therefore, I do not recommend using tea tree oil in your skincare or hair care products. You will find it in over-the-counter shampoos. I think the Jason's anti-dandruff shampoo has tea tree oil in it, but it definitely is something that can cause a lot of problems for people, even though it's all natural. Personally, I use it in my toilet bowl to disinfect the toilet bowl. A few drops in there after I clean my toilet, just to kind of keep the water fresh after I clean the toilet bowl. It's because it's a disinfectant, but I don't recommend putting it on your skin or in your hair. And definitely don't ingest it. It is toxic when ingested. So those are my thoughts on the whole DevaCurl issue with the lawsuit and some of the allegations. They honestly don't surprise me that much. But for those of you who are like, what the heck does she know? Just because she's a dermatologist, she's got straight hair, she has no idea. I actually learned all of this from a mentor of mine in dermatology, the chairperson of Wake Forest Department of Dermatology. She is a hair expert. So, if you want some further information, I'm going to put a link below in the description box to a podcast interview from the journal Cutis. It's a dermatology journal in which they interviewed Dr. McMichael is her name. And she talks about these issues. So, I'll put it down below in the description box if you want to listen to her as well as another source of information. But, these are issues that can definitely happen if you don't shampoo the scalp regularly. So I will put that down below in the description box. I think the whole podcast, they go into some other topics within the journal that, may not be relevant to you. So I'll try and write a timestamp as to when her interview starts, so you don't have to listen to the whole thing if you're not interested in it. But yeah, she is an expert in hair diseases, and she has a hair clinic, and she is very accomplished in the world in dermatology. She is like, a mentor, somebody to learn from in dermatology for sure. So I will put that down below in the description box for you guys. So yeah, comment below, those of you who have curly hair, like, have you tried these different co-washing methods or no poo methods? But I do really empathize for you guys with curly hair out there, because it's a delicate balance. I mentioned in my hair care video that personally I do get away. I shampoo my scalp daily. I can tolerate that. My hair can tolerate that. But I know you guys watching your hair will not withstand that. And that is actually damaging to your hair. And I would not recommend that you guys do what I do. It's just not going to work for you, for your hair. But you still need to incorporate some degree of shampoo cleansing of the scalp for the health of your scalp, whether it be on a once a week basis or an every other week basis. Personally, I would love to see more hair care products that are more strategically formulated for true cleansing without affecting the hair shaft. That's really what the curly hair community needs. They don't need more co-washing products that lead to buildup and increased fragility, increased hair breakage, and dandruff. They need more products that will adequately cleanse the scalp, remove buildup without damaging the hair shaft itself. So yeah, I'd love to see more products coming out along those lines that are at least sound in rationale and approach, as opposed to some of these products that maybe offer a quick fix. You may find that you like the way your hair looks initially when you first start doing a co-washing method, but with ongoing use, it definitely causes a lot of problems. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful to you guys. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.